let's talk about the show Wolf Like Me. Love can be scary in the new genre-bending romantic dramedy series Wolf Like Me, starring the lovely Isla Fisher and the outstanding Josh Gad. Stream it now only on Peacock. I would say go to peacocktv.com to sign up, but those people who are watching us right now have already done so. So I'll tell that to the radio audience. If you don't have Peacock, you got to get it. This is a fun show that you should check out. And joining us right here on the Rich Eisen Show is none other than the outstanding and talented and apparently very pissed off Josh Gad. How are you, Josh?
You know what? I'm doing really well, although I would have loved it had you also called me lovely, like you refer to Isla Fisher.
You are. Okay, let me, can we do that one more time? Put the promo up on the screen right here. Love Can Be Scary, and the new genre-bending romantic dramedy series Wolf Like Me, starring the lovely Isla Fisher. Oh, give me music now, too. Yeah. And the incredibly striking Get Lost in His Beard and deep, dark brown eyes, Josh Gad. Right here on peacocktv.com. And joining us now is Josh Gad. How are you, Josh? Is that better? Is that good?
You know what? I'm less aggravated and high blood pressure prone than I was 2 days ago when I found out the coach of my football team, who went 8-1 in the last 9 games of the season, was unceremoniously fired by the Miami Dolphins.
What?
It was a tough moment.
All right, let's get in it. Let's get back to it, because I know the other day we were trying to get you on right away in first blush.
Yeah.
And you being a well-adjusted man have calmed down over the last couple of days. But
I've calmed down. I've taken my meds. I've read some critical think pieces. You know, it's an interesting decision. But, you know, the one thing you have to say is that the Miami Dolphins for the last 20 years have always made the right decisions after making, oh, wait, no, that's not the Miami Dolphins. It's a very perplexing situation. And for the life of me, here's what I don't get. They've sort of dismissed the idea that they're going to go after Harbaugh. They've sort of dismissed the idea that they're going to go after Watson. So, like, I'm trying to understand, was there a plan in place when you decided to fire this guy who was an extraordinarily good coach? What, you know, based on the reports I've been reading, and I'm not sure what you guys have been hearing, is a lot of it was just based on their own personal grievances with the fact that Brian was a passionate guy, and apparently that passion and what some called poor communication skills with ownership got in the way of them being all cuddly and kumbaya. And so he's shown the door. I mean, this is the same guy who was a disciple of Bill Belichick, so I don't know what anyone was expecting. But it's just all confusing, really, more than anything.
Beat Belichick, too. Swept him this year, you know? And it beat him 4 out of the 6 times he saw him. Like, that's the... You know, like, that's the first order of business, with due respect to the Bills in the AFC East, is you've got to have somebody who can do that, because without that, you know, and we may find that out on Saturday night if the Bills don't beat Belichick and the Patriots for a second time. Like, that's the first order of business, is sometimes you got to get 2 against this guy, you know?
That's the first order of business. That's what we've been in the short term, or actually long term, over the past couple of years chasing. And it's confounding to me, because obviously the poor start did not put him in a great situation. But when you see how he was able to turn this football team around, how he was able to somehow get through to a group of players who all seemingly had checked out midway through the season, there was so much potential there for greatness. And we're talking about firing a historically, over the past 3 years, winning coach. You know, I believe his record was like the 9th best record for a coach in the NFL over that 3-year span. So the whole thing is just confusing. And I'm reading about some of the guys that they're talking about sitting down with, and they're all great. Look, the offensive coordinator for the Bills is obviously great coach. I don't know how I feel about Peterson. I respect him. I think he did a tremendous job with Philly. But I'm just, of the names on the list, none jump out at me as saying, oh, this was worth firing Brian Flores for.
Josh Gad here on the Rich Eisen Show, new show right here on Peacock. Wolf like me, diehard Dolphin fan here on the Rich Eisen Show. Where do you stand on Tua? Do you think that it was a mistake? Do you need to buy a little bit more time to see how you feel about him, or are you deep in the Tuanon cult there in South Florida?
No, you know, I've defended Tua probably more than than most fans in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I think there have been some great pieces written in the Sentinel and in the Herald about the lack of opportunity that Tua has had to succeed. I think historically you see that being a pattern. I mean, let's look at Ryan Tannehill for a second. You know, these same conversations consistently were had about Tannehill's skill set, and look at what he's done in Tennessee. I think that there continues to be the Groundhog Day problems that this organization has had for as long as I've been a fan. No offensive line, no running back, no support. And so when you have, and then you have a bunch of free agents who just aren't doing their jobs. You have a bunch of wide receivers who, other than Waddle, I mean, they either can't stay healthy, or in the case of someone like Albert Wilson, aren't showing up. So I don't know that the blame game of Tua's the problem is the right conversation to be had yet. I think 3 years feels like the right moment to pull the trigger to decide whether or not he's the right fit for this organization. But I'm certainly not on the bandwagon yet of saying, you know, let's get rid of this guy, especially if the alternative means trading away all of your draft assets for a player who, frankly, may or may not even be able to play next year.
Well, the word is one of the reasons why Watson wanted in was because of Flores. So I don't know if that's the way that one went. You know what I mean? Which would be interesting too, because. So go. You have the floor. Go ahead.
I've heard the same thing as you, Rich, and I just read that may not be the case. That he may actually, you know, he may still be willing to sit down with the Dolphins. So I don't know the truth about that. But then you're reading other reports, or you saw on social media yesterday, Xavier Howard with this cryptic social media message that was basically a peace out to the Miami Dolphins. So like, I don't know if the two things are related. I don't know if I know historically that Brian was a defensive minded guy, and his defense played their butts off for him. So I don't know what the fallout of that's going to be. But this is the problem I have with this decision. It feels like it was a decision that wasn't really thought through. It was just like done, maybe not in the moment. Maybe these guys had been pursuing it for a while and planning it for a while, but it just doesn't feel like the steps were taken to come up with the succession plan, and that's the problem that I have.
Maybe, Josh Gad, here's a theory. You tell me if you think it's possible that Flores, in this meeting where they had this conversation, he was asked for his plan, and he bent over into a file drawer to go get it, and they saw that his underwear band was very well worn, and
here we go.
And thus,
here we go.
You know what I mean? Like maybe. Maybe they made a snap decision right then and there, Josh.
Yeah, I was wondering where this was headed. The Curb Your Enthusiasm reference wasn't the first thought that popped in my mind, but it could very well be a possibility that that's exactly what happened. It obviously happens.
A brilliant appearance, Josh Gad. Brilliant is the only way to describe that. Oh my God. Now, when
Larry calls me up during the pandemic. He had asked me to do another episode of Curb a couple of seasons ago, and I couldn't make it work. And he calls me up and he goes, "Josh, I've got an idea for this is horrible Larry David impression." And he goes, "Josh, I've got an idea. I want you to come do the show." I say to him, "Larry, I haven't shot anything during the pandemic. This was before I was vaccinated, and I was freaking out." And he goes, "Josh, the median age on my show is 75. Trust me, you're going to be just fine and protected." So I show up to set, and he hands me a pair of underwear that almost made me throw up. I was like, "You want this to go on my body?" He said, "Yes." And what was so fun, and what the reason that I loved doing it, and obviously I would jump through the heavens for Larry, is that it was such a fun thing to. Usually, celebrities on the show have to be antagonistic towards Larry.
Right.
And there was something about this character that allowed him to be vulnerable and actually let Larry win, which I thought was such a funny change of pace for what you usually get to do on that show. So it was a blast, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Oh my God, it was so brilliant. And that was my question for you is, you know, that you get the script, you see what the idea is, you're in, but then when you finally get on set and they hand you the garment that you're supposed to put on, like that, did you have a split second moment or like, I don't know why I'm doing this right now? Did you have that sort of split second moment?
I had a split hour moment where I was like, I don't know that I'll ever recover from
brilliant.
what I'm being asked to do.
But you got it. You commit, man. You committed. Oh my God, did you commit? And then
Which I had no choice. I mean,
it was,
Larry, wouldn't you commit? I mean, it's Larry David. He's earned our commitment. He's earned whatever he wants. He's earned.
Well, you know, and do you ever talk Jets Dolphins with him? Did you ever have a conversation with him on that front, or not really? Because you know he thinks he can be the offensive coordinator, you know, of the Jets, right? And defensive coordinator. He says he could be the OC and the DC of the Jets.
He probably could be. I honest to God, I think anyone, including everybody on this call right now, could be the offensive or defensive coordinator of the Jets and be more productive than whatever the hell is happening there. No, the funniest part is that my brother is a diehard Jets fan. Diehard. And so when he calls you up, and he was the one who broke the news to me about Flores, and when he actually is able to say with a straight face, my God, the Dolphins just made one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen. This is the same guy who lived through half a decade with Rich Kotite. So, like, I am really I feel such hurt and pain when a Jets fan can look at me with a straight face and say, your organization has just made a horrible decision.
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned Kotite. You could have gone Gase and been just as accurate. You know,
well, we made the same decision, so I can't really.
You know, I know.
I can't really look at it.
Kotite, because Bobby Cannavale, I don't know if you've ever worked with, or you must know him.
I love Bobby.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a friend.
He's a diehard Jet fan. He referred to when the Jets are the worst ever. He created a phrase, "tighty bad." So we came up with the like that jingle from the commercials. You're not fully bad unless you're tighty bad. Like, so you mentioning Kotite is spot on, like dead bullseye accurate right there. But you know, I got Josh Gad here on the Rich Eisen Show. Tell me about Wolf Like Me, brother, right here on Peacock, and where everyone can start streaming it right now.
Say enough. I can't speak enough to the level of excitement I have for people discovering this show. It's unlike anything else, I think, on TV. It stars the radiant Isla Fisher and the particularly lovely Josh Gad, as you stated. And we're, we play this couple that has, some baggage that they bring into this relationship. And things start peeling back a little bit and aren't quite what they would appear to be. And the show does this amazing job of balancing all of these tones and tackling all of these themes that usually you wouldn't find together, sort of like peanut butter and tuna fish, but it somehow works. So 1 minute it's hilarious. 1 minute you'll be crying. 1 minute you'll be on the edge of your seat because there are elements of horror in it. And it does all of these things, I think, effortlessly. And the director, Abe Forsyth, who directed a movie I did called Little Monsters with me and Lupita Nyong'o, just nailed it, hit it out of the park. I don't want to give any more away because part of the joy of watching it is the element of surprise, but it's an easy stream, 2.5 hours long, 6 episodes. Go on Peacock, watch it immediately. You won't be disappointed.
It's Wolf Like Me. You can find it right here on Peacock with Josh Gad and Isla Fisher. And I know it's not Peacock, it's Apple, but Central Park is something that Susie and I, my wife and I, watch with our kids. Our kids love it. They love it. They love Central Park.
I am so proud of that show.
You should be.
I can tell you, the second part of season 2 is going to launch shortly. I think that we'll be announcing that soon.
Great.
And then season 3 we just wrapped, and it is out of control good. And same with Avenue 5 season 2 for HBO, which I just wrapped, which the great Armando Iannucci,
yes.
a brilliant satirist. That's going to be spectacular. So a lot of fun stuff coming down the pike.
Okay.
Not as fun as seeing what happens with the Dolphins next season, but it's all fun nevertheless.
Josh Gad, Dolphin fan, without the warm hugs, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, I've got my my audio executive, as he likes to be known, Mike Del Tufo. Say hi to Josh Gad. Say
hey,
hi
Josh,
to him.
what's happening?
He is a 55-year-old man from New Jersey.
Yes.
How many Olaf items do you have in your household?
8.
8 to 10. 8 to 10. What is the oldest?
Mike.
What is the oldest?
I love Olaf.
What is the oldest Olaf fan you've met? Like that. What do you think?
His name is Mike. He's an audio producer for the Rich Eisen Show.
Because he's 55. Normally it's 5, right? Normally it's like 5.
Yeah, normally
right?
the median age of Olaf fans is 5. So there's no. I've met Mike. You're in good company. I've met many people, all walks of life, all ages, who love the character, and I think a part of it is just like, there's so much cynicism in the world, and the thing that I love about this character is that he's just a bundle of optimism and hope. He's a glasses half full character at a time when it seems like everybody, rightfully so, has a glasses half empty outlook on life. And I think there's also an element of this, like, youthful naivete, this perfect bubble of innocence that we all long for, that Olaf represents. And we just launched these Olaf Presents shorts on Disney Plus, which are outrageous.
All in.
And insane. And they're pretty funny. It's Olaf recapping some of the iconic Disney movies, and people seem to connect with them so much because, again, he has no filter. He can just say whatever's on his mind, however he wants to say it, and you just buy in.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, Mike. I'll make sure to sign some of these items for you if I ever want.
So nice. I think he just described you as a human, Mike.
That's 100%.
Except
that is why I love Olaf.
Except you sweat in the cold.
Yes.
Right?
I'm the opposite.
You know what I mean?
Too. That's the thing we have in common. I'll tell you what. My wife gets so angry because when nighttime comes, the thermostat cannot be above 69 degrees because I cannot deal with it. I literally, it is a reoccurring fight in the Gad household.
There you go.
So hot all the time, and she's so cold all the time. And it's a real fundamental relationship problem.
So is a Disney Plus short, you're going to have to create a new one for Olaf to break down the Brian Flores firing, Josh? Is that coming?
It feels like a weird demographic to tackle on Disney Plus, but yeah, that's the plan. We're going to, we want to really just hone in on the South Florida fan base and see how many viewers that gets, more as like a social experiment than anything else. But no, it's
okay.
It's the whole thing is a bummer. The other thing is,
yes,
I'm friends with Brian, so on a personal level, I'm bummed for him because we became weirdly like pen pals during the past 3 seasons. So I've seen what this guy has been through.
Was Frozen the portal for that? Because I know he's got young kids. Was that it? What was the portal for?
Frozen was the portal for it. I'll tell you how we met. I think it was to his first season when when everything started and we entered lockdown. Brian asked me to, around Christmas of our first Christmas in lockdown, around the holiday season, he asked me to call in to the Dolphins players and their kids and do a whole thing and read a book with them. And it was just lovely. And then we just started this relationship where we would write each other after games, and he's just a good man. He's a really decent man who cares so much about his players, who cares so much about football. And again, I think that's why it's such a bummer for me to see him go, because I really not only respected him on a professional level, but respected him as a person.
You're a good man, Josh Gad. Wolf Like Me on Peacock. I mean, I couldn't keep up with all of your projects right there. Central Park on Apple, right? Apple Plus, and
doing a Mike biopic, which I'm going to call Mike about. I'm basically starring as Mike. This is an opportunity for me to tell you now, I guess.
Okay, Del Tufo. He just told you his next project is to be you, Mike, and you weren't paying attention, which is all part of sometimes where I feel like in terms of the Olaf of him working the board, his hands are like sticks. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's what I feel.
Yeah, I get it.
But it's okay. Thanks for the call.
Nice,
Josh, you're the man. You be well. We'll chat soon.
Hey, love you, buddy.
Thank you. Right back at you. That's Josh Gad right here. At Josh Gad. Brilliant. So funny. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.